I'm going to be frank with you, it's going to be really difficult in the next 10 years. I could see us losing 20% of farms who just can't make it through these really tough situations. Hiya, I'm Richard Heady and I'm joining the Farmers Guardian Save British Family Farms campaign. So I farm on a beef and arable farm in North Buckinghamshire with my father and my uncle, and today I'm standing in a field of spring wheat which drilled about a month ago. It's just starting to grow away with the rain we've had. And the reason I think that the family farm tax needs stopped is just because it is unpayable. So family farms and farms in general earn between 0.5% and 1% return on capital. So how can they pay back 20% inheritance tax? It would take between 20 and 40 years. That's just not doable. Now, the average business in the UK has a return on capital of about 7.5%, 7.8%. So that makes it far more easy for them to pay inheritance tax. But farms have to have a lot of capital just to operate. So take this arable field as an example. It's probably worth about £10,000 an acre as agricultural land, and then we're earning back as profit about £100 an acre. So it would take 20 years to pay back the inheritance tax. The trouble is, this field is quite near the edge of Milton Keynes. So when a district valuer came out to value it for inheritance tax, he could say it has hope value or building potential. So he could value this land at £500,000 an acre. So if I use my £100 profit from this field every year to put towards inheritance tax, and the value has put it at £500,000, it's going to take me 1,000 years to pay back the inheritance tax without any interest. So you can see why it's just unpayable. Something else that really scares me is that if I inherited this field and had to pay the 20% inheritance tax on the £500,000 that it's worth per acre, a couple of years down the line, the new compulsory purchase rules could come in and someone could take this land off of me at agricultural value and only pay me £10,000 an acre for it. So I've made a huge loss through no fault of my own and be in massive debt with no field to farm. The problem with farming and putting 20% inheritance tax on it is we have to sell off the land to pay the tax, and without the land we can't farm. So it's not just the inheritance tax which is striking down the confidence in British agriculture. You know, I really love farming. It's the life I want for myself, and I work really hard to maintain this farm, as did my father and my grandfather before me. And I really want to leave it in a really nice state for my children so they can carry on farming if they wish to. But it's not just the inheritance tax. We've got carbon border adjustments coming in, so we have to pay a tax on imported fertiliser, whereas other countries where we import the grain from will not have that tax and will have a competitive advantage over us. The basic payment scheme is being phased out. It's a huge chunk of income that British farmers are not going to have anymore, which help keep food prices low and farms profitable. The sustainable farming incentive has been paused and people can't apply anymore, which was the lifeline to British farmers and allowed them to have a steady income to subsidise their food production. Then also there's compulsory purchase rights that come in, like I mentioned earlier, which are really scary, that organisations could just come in, take land from us and pay us what the valuer thinks it's worth for agricultural land, not what it's really worth with the time and effort we've put in, with the years of trying to improve our soil, lock carbon in there and build up the biodiversity of these fields, just taken from us. So look, I'm going to be frank with you, it's going to be really difficult in the next 10 years. I could see us losing 20% of farms who just can't make it through these really tough situations. So what I say is, you know, if you're farming, please keep an eye on your gross margins, pay really close attention to everything you're doing, because we need to ride out this storm. But if you're in government, or a member of the public, just please help us out, get on our side, support family farms. If we lose family farms, we're just going to be importing food from abroad. We have no control over the standards. In the UK, we grow food to British standards, the standards that you have control over, that you demand from us. Imported food can use pesticides that are banned in this country, have animal welfare standards far lower than this country. So if we lose agriculture here, we're just going to ship it off to abroad. Also, you've got to think of food security. I've been seeing a lot of films and information about the war recently, and how during the Second World War, a lot of ships bringing food in from America kept on getting bombed, and rationing getting tighter and tighter. Now, we're really lucky we haven't seen a war like that in a long time, and let's just hope that we don't have to. But should we not be prepared to keep food into agricultural condition so that we can grow food if we need to? Because we're an island, it's not going to be easy just to get food over here like that. We've been very lucky that we've managed to import a lot of food over the last kind of 50 years. We're bringing in food from all over the world in some really hot regions. We've got to think of climate change as well. If those regions get too hot to be able to produce food, they get more desertification, they do not have the water resources to grow that food anymore. Where are we going to get it from if we can't produce it here in the UK? So it's really important, from keeping this country safe, to keep food production in the UK. And that's why I think we need to support family farms and British farming to produce your food in the way that you want it produced on home soil and keep everyone safe.